What's up, everybody? Welcome to Community. I'm your host, Kenny Jones, and today we have a did I say very? Very special guest in the building. Please introduce yourself for the people.
What's up, community? My name is Isaiah,
Hey,
and I am an artist and a music producer and an audio engineer.
coming out of Dallas.
And I've known Kenny for many years.
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's tell them how we met.
Okay, I think so. We met through the Boys and Girls Club and through elementary school.
Yeah.
So we went to the same elementary school, Donaldson Way, and the same, Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
I don't know which one we met at first, though. That's the thing. I feel like it was the Boys and Girls Club.
It was probably there
Yeah.
with Sharon.
Yep, with Sharon.
Good times. So, where are you from?
I'm from American Canyon, California.
Yeah, and where are you located at right now?
And now I'm located in Denton, Texas.
Bet.
Yes.
So, what's one of your favorite memories from living, like, in the Bay Area or living out here in California? Do you have any particular?
I miss the fog. The fog was cool.
Yeah.
I miss like the different types of terrain out there, like the mountains, the hills, everything, the creeks, all that kind of stuff. I think what I'm pointing out more is like the differences, right, between Texas and Cali.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Favorite memory though? I mean, I don't know. I think just like middle school. Middle school was live.
Y'all, he used to have a mohawk, and we called that thing Ivan. It was beautiful.
This is facts. My dad, I can't decide if he was like a good dad or a bad dad for encouraging me to get that mohawk and then not saying it was ugly. Because I look back at those photos and I'm like,
It's just your body was like squatter then.
Oh yeah, I'm already thick.
It wasn't that you were like big. It was just like shorter than how tall you are now.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You're just like way taller. We knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the music journey. When did you start music?
So I actually started music. What aspect? I guess like getting into listening to music or just like creating?
Either. Let's say creating.
Okay, so it started with creating. If we want to count band, I did start in band.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, started on clarinet. I think you were there.
I think I was playing too, actually.
Yeah, I think you were too. Yeah. And so the battle for first chair was on. However, that only lasted about 2 years. From 6th grade to 7th grade. And then in 7th grade, I started realizing how cool percussion was. Plus, I think like Nick Cannon dropped his movie at the time, Drumline, which I was like, yo, drums are cool.
Legendary.
Yeah, it was legendary. And so I knew I had to be in Drumline from that point forward, but then I knew I had to start somewhere. So I started with percussion and band in middle school. And so, triple Y transitioned to percussion. Then went to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually interesting that transition from middle school to high school was like really crazy because I had told basically like the new high school was opening up, American Canyon High School.
Right.
And there's some people from like Napa High that were like trying to train the new incoming freshmen for drumline. Right. And so I did like a summer camp with them and like some other people were in there. Like I think Michelle was in there.
Yeah, and I was like Edgar and
Edgar was teaching. Zach's cool ass. So he was like, they're like trying to prep me because they're like, yo, you're going to Texas? Can I cuss on this? I can't cuss.
Yeah, you can do what you want.
Okay. They're like, oh shit, you're going to Texas?
Yeah.
And then they looked at each other like, and I was like, what is happening? Like, why did this just get so serious? Yeah. Like, dude, Texas is such a competitive place for drumline. I was like, if that's where I'm going, they're like, all right, we got to get you ready.
Yeah.
So they start like training me, trying to be like, they're like showing up to like basically the park next to my house. I don't know if you remember that park that was just like right across the street. Yeah, so we'd go over there, we'd like practice on the pads and stuff, just out, on the picnic tables, and they were getting me ready. And then I did go to Texas, which obviously was a very sad thing at the time. Like, I'm making it sound like it was like this great moment, but it was actually like a devastating moment to leave Texas in the first place, right?
Especially building that new connection. Like, you're like prepping and training with them. I remember walking home and like seeing y'all, and I'm like, they still drumming? Damn.
That's badass. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That I was trying my best.
Yeah.
But we'll save the sad stories for later. But got to Texas, and I met Mr. Ivy at the high school that I was supposed to be going to, and he's like checking me out, seeing what I could do, and he's like, and I could tell. I mean, no, he's invested in me. He wanted me to be in his drum line. It's a new school at the time. I think Heritage was like had been open for a year or something or two, right?
That's crazy. It's almost like the same like situation. Almost.
Literally the same situation, just a different place.
Yeah.
So I pull up over there, and I was excited to have me, checking me out, and I feel like his first impression, he was waiting to see what I was gonna do when I came back after the first prep. So the first time I met him, he gave me like all this music and was like, okay, like see what you can do with this when you go home with it, come back the next day and we can talk about it. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I went home, I literally practiced my ass off for that entire night into the next day. I don't know if it was one night, 2 nights, I don't know what it was, but every second that I was home, I was hitting that pad and trying to learn those parts, right? The next day he was like blown away. He was like, yo, what? He was like, what? And he basically, he told me I could play whatever I wanted. He said I could do snare. He was like, basically, so the day before he was like, freshmen usually don't get snare. Like, that's probably not gonna happen, but we'll wait till tomorrow to see what you can do. Come back, he's like, you can play snare if you want.
just so you know.
Just so you know. It turned into a big thing because I actually chose bass drum. And the reason why is because he said the hand technique was going to transition better into quads tenor drum,
right?
Which is like the 5-drum instrument, and that's what I really wanted to play because I saw that on Drumline, the movie. And I was like, I gotta play that. So I was like, I told him whatever gets me there fastest, like that's the instruments I want to play. So I went for bass, and I started telling the rest of the bass line, who were also freshmen, that I could have played snare. They're like, no way, like he wasn't gonna let you do that. And I was like, I mean, that's what happened. Yeah. Everybody was so mad. Because everybody wanted to play snare, of course. Like,
right. But, how many snares were there?
At the time, probably 3, 2 or 3.
But like 4 or 5 bass drums.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I remember that. From marching, when we were marching too, we were not good compared to y'all, but because it's.
I don't know if we were good either.
We got smashed every time, but we got the Texas band teacher, which was crazy. That
oh shit. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he came from out there, which was really exciting too.
Yeah. I remember because I was trying not to play tuba anymore. I was trying to retire from band. This man switched my class from leadership to band, so I was in band class instead.
He said you have no choice.
I was like, is this allowed? I don't even want to play tuba.
Hey, I just remember how like everybody was so like, they were like Kenny and tuba because you were like short, the tuba was like huge.
Yeah, I'm like the same size.
You were lugging that thing everywhere though. You had your case, just rolling it.
Yeah.
On the move.
I really can't believe I played that thing.
It's impressive though. It really was. It was impressive.
Man.
It takes a lot of air to play a tuba.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta talk about that more later. I think that's why I did well in basketball today. Just tons of air.
Yeah, tons of air. Strong lungs.
Yeah.
And track.
Right, yeah, that too. Do you have a favorite music teacher from the past? Any that you're like, thank you.
Okay.
If it wasn't for them,
Yeah, so I mean, I guess to kind of finish that transition, I can lead into where the creating really started to pick up for me. Mm-hmm. So, I did all 4 years drumline, right? Mm-hmm. Finished, and at that point, at the end of high school, so this story is gonna lead into like how I met the teacher that really changed, everything for me.
Yeah.
But when I started college, I just did not think I could do anything music that was going to pay the bills. And the big thing out in Frisco, Texas, like it's kind of like a more rich area. And and like you tell someone you want to be a music teacher, and they're literally like, they'll laugh at you. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, you're not gonna make enough money. Like, and everything's about money out here, which is horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Right out there, I'm not there anymore, thankfully.
Right.
But I had to leave that place. It's just too toxic. That's the type of city where, you know, if you're trying to be a lawyer, a doctor, or you know, things like that, like you'll do great, you'll thrive, and people will have a lot of respect for you. But if not, then they just kind of look at you like, oh, okay, you're average, you know?
Right. Until you blow up and come back, and they're like, yeah,
right.
Come through.
I know, exactly.
Come for our gala.
So basically that put a lot of pressure on me, and so I was like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? So for some time I was like, well, I like skateboarding, and I'm really interested in like surfing and stuff, and I was watching like competitions that would happen in like Hawaii and Brazil and stuff like that, and you know, I thought that scuba diving was cool too, and I was like, okay, well, what if I open up a shop that sells, you know, longboards, scuba diving gear, surf gear, all that kind of shit. I was like, okay, so let me go to college, figure out how to open a business like that, do entrepreneurship, all that.
Yeah.
Failed the shit out of accounting in all my math classes, because it just, you know what I mean? Like the first semester was like almost flawless, but the problem was I joined a fraternity, and from that point, like, you know, I started getting some distractions, and then I think I started losing sight of the vision too, because I was like, damn, is this really even what I want to do? Like,
you started to find more things that you're interested in.
Yeah, I was just questioning everything. So by the end of that first semester, I was like, you know, I remember my last football game, right? When I you know, played in the band, I marched,
right?
And I told my teacher, Alan Brody, I was like, hey man, I don't want this to be my last game. And he was like, don't let it be, you know. And I was like, damn. And so, you know, I was really set on trying to join DCI for a second, but that didn't happen either. And you know, UNC would have been great because they're actually the drummers there are actually Santa Clara Vanguard drummers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so they played the marching band for UNC during football season. And as soon as that ends, they fly to Cali and they're Santa Clara Vanguard, because that's the teacher. Yeah, they're nonstop. So I was like, this is a great place if I want to do it.
Yeah.
But the percussionists, there's so many percussionists because it's that level of school. There's hundreds, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, I don't know if drumming's for me. I don't know what's going on, whatever. But then my coworker Brian, you know Brian, I met him at CPK, California Pizza Kitchen, and he just loved EDM, loved it. And I was like, I could not, you know, like, you know, I don't want to say it the way my dad said it, but he had some negative things to say about EDM, and so I never got into it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, whatever, I believe you, Dad. So I just kind of like ignored EDM, and then Brian's like, no, you need to listen to it. You need to come to a show. And I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm gonna like it. And he's like, you need to come. And I was like, all right, I'll go. I didn't do one night. I was like, okay, I'll go. This dude's like dragging me there.
Yeah.
So I get there, and the whole experience is something like I've never been to before, right? Like I've never been to a club or anything like that. I'd never really experienced seeing a DJ be like the center of attention, and also knowing that DJ is a producer, right? And so that a lot of the music I'm hearing them play is like stuff that they made.
Yeah.
The headliner for that night was Zed's Dead, and I remember the last song they played was this song called Collapse that I had to find, and that song changed everything for me, because I needed to figure out how those sounds were possible,
right,
to even be real. I was like, I've never heard things like this. Like, they're creating them. How can I do that too?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it just really broke a wall for me, because for my whole life I had heard hip hop, R&B, rap. That's it. You know, stuck to that. Reggae, obviously. You know, my favorite artists were like E40, obviously, like Be Legit, Too Short. You know, all the things we listened to in the Bay.
Yeah.
But then that exposure was just crazy, hearing sounds I never heard used in music before, right? And so first thing I did was I started researching like crazy. You know, I'm on forums. I'm like, okay, how do I make music? Oh, these are the programs. Okay, which program is the hardest to learn? And so I was like, fuck it. If the hardest one is going to be the best one, I'm going to pick that one. So I went with Ableton. And then, you know, my mom like was immediately supportive, and she got me Ableton for Christmas, like a real copy. And it came with the Push, the first one that came out at the time. And I was set. Like I made a song that same night. And then,
like, oh, it's lit right now.
And I still have that song. Yeah, I still have that song on my SoundCloud. Like I'll never delete it, because, you know, it's like the first thing I ever made.
Yeah.
But no, that was history, and that happened Christmas of 2014. So my official beginning of creating music, like music production, was, you know, January 1st, 2015. Basically, that was the beginning of the journey. So we just hit, I think, this beginning of the 6th year, like anniversary or something like that. I can't do math.
6 years.
Yep.
6 years.
So here we are, but it's been a journey since then, you know. I will say, so, you know, like, you know, I was producing by myself for a long time. I was like, okay, this music has so much value to me. I can't collab with anybody else. I can't share my music with anybody else. I was very like, you know, in my own zone. I was also very like shy at the time. I was like, there's no way, like, how am I supposed to like get this music to people if I can't be on stage? Because I don't have like felt like I didn't have a stage persona, stuff like that.
Right.
But this is where I had to start, you know, pushing myself to do new things. And so I was like, okay, Zed's Dead is a DJ group and they're music producers. If I want to make this EDM stuff, I needed to be able to do both. And thankfully my dad is a DJ, and he actually tried to teach me when I was younger. I don't know if you remember, but like when I was like 14, he was trying to teach me.
He tried to teach me, and I was like,
yeah, we're too busy. We're too busy running track, playing on ripsticks, skating and shit, trying to talk to girls, all that. Like, you know, we didn't really have time to take it serious, but it was like, okay, Dad, I'm ready. Like, how do I do this, right?
Right.
So he actually sold me his controller at the time. He sold me a controller and 2 monitors, I think, for like $600. And I was like, "Bet, let's do this." Took it straight to my dorm room, I think, because I was at UNT, and I was a freshman. Put it on my fucking desk at the dorm. Next thing you know, my roommate Ross is like seeing me every night, just on my laptop, making shit every day, mixing shit. You know, they think it sounds crazy. They're like, "I don't know about it." Hang on.
You're good. She's good.
Is she good? Let me take her collar off.
A mild interruption, people. We have Romy on the scene. She is built. She is about half a foot tall, aggressive, can run you over.
Let's go ahead and give her debut.
Guest appearance.
We got Romy in the house.
Romy in the house. What's up, Romy?
I know you were drinking water. Minding your business.
She like, I live here. That's what I do. I don't understand the problem.
Man, when she drinks water, she drinks it for a long time. So I was like, let me go ahead and just
thirsty.
Take the collar off.
Right. But, so you got the controllers.
And you know, I'm deep diving. Like, you know, if there's a sound that I really needed to figure out how to make, I would try my best to type in what I think that sounded like in Google and just look through the results until I found the exact, you know, formula that I was looking for to do something like. So I remember one of the first things I looked for was, okay, how do you make that sound where it sounds like the music is like ducking in and out, you know, like against the kick, right? Yeah. And so that took a while to find out, but then I find out it's called sidechain ducking, and then I'm like, oh, this is fucking mind blowing. Like, started putting that in all my music. You know, just like, you know, just the process, right, of learning. But it was just a lot of fun. I was very obsessive about it. But let's see. So the DJing thing, you know, that was interesting because, you know, I was like, okay, this is how I'm gonna show my music to people whenever that starts to happen, right? Yeah. So, you know, like, but I had to get practice, live practice. I couldn't just mix in my room. So next thing you know, I'm like DJing parties for people, right? Yeah. And you know, my friend Edgar's putting me on because he just has all the party connects. I don't know why Edgar has all the party connects. He has all the party connects.
Edgar's live.
Yeah, he's like, bro, I got a party for you. I'm like, bet. And you know, what's funny is like, I wasn't confident enough in myself to charge a lot at first. And so he was like, so we were like, fuck it, let's just do cheap. He was like my manager at the time. Yeah. So we were just like, I was telling people, yeah, $20, that's fine. $20, $30. I remember that back then people were actually stressing me too. One time they're like, damn, like $30? So I was like, yeah, like $30, let's go. 30? really trying to give me trouble, you know?
Man, I got 15 for you. Is that good enough?
But at the same time, it's like the college struggle, right? Like everybody's trying to have a good time, but nobody has money to do anything, you know?
I guess. I don't know. If that was me, I'd be like, I at least need 50, dog.
I'm like, first of all, we all have 5 roommates in our current situations, right? Like,
ask everybody for $10 if you're trying to throw something.
Like, yeah, like literally that's everybody chipping, because when when I moved out the dorms, me and Ross moved into this like apartment complex where, you know, it's like 5 people per like townhouse kind of thing, right? We actually had 7 total in ours. That you know, but that's the college life, right?
That's madness.
Yeah. So a lot of music was made in that place. A lot of the music that's coming out on this EP on Thursday actually was made in that place. So very, very cool moment.
Yeah.
But so eventually, you know, I'm still at UNC at this time, right? And obviously I'm trying so hard to get through my classes while becoming this producer that doesn't know what his future is. He just knows he's really fucking with this shit, right?
Yeah.
Or that I'm really fucking with this shit. And doing pretty great. And like, you know, people are interested in like hitting me up and trying to come over. They're trying to see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. You know, like Edgar was one of those people, he's like, bro, like, how do you DJ? You know, like, you just pop in, or just like people would be downstairs, you know, like smoking weed and shit, whatever, but then they get bored and they come upstairs and like, yo, like, how do you make music? And everybody's just like, it was like almost a second form of entertainment for like people in the house sometimes.
Yeah, so I'm sure they would just hear you and just be like, let me go see what Zay's doing.
Yeah. So, but I had a question to ask myself, right? Because I'm still failing UNC. I'm on my 3rd semester. I'm trying my best. So I just want to make my mom happy because, you know, she's spending all this money to have me go through school, right? Worked her entire life to get me through school, just to see me like not amounting to anything, just prospectively, right? That was a lot of weight,
right,
on my shoulders. So I had a decision to make. I was like, I either stay at UNC or I go someplace else, and I tried to switch up my career choice, right? I found out that this college called Colin was, you know, offering audio engineering classes, and you know, it was actually my mom's suggestion at first. She was like, why don't you try it? And I was like, I don't know what that is, or like, it doesn't really sound right. But then I looked into it and I started realizing, I think it was the fact that I found Drake's engineer online and the way he spoke about things, which is so cool. That I was like, okay, maybe I could do this, because I do know how things should sound, and I do feel like I can make things, I add soul to things, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And I feel like that's what it's really all about as an engineer, like adding soul to something that may have been soulless before, when you first got it. So I was like, let's give it a shot. First teacher I ever had, his name was Chris Lund, and it just blew my mind, because he was like, hey guys, I'm Chris Lund. I'm an electronic music producer and DJ, and I also teach, and all this stuff. He's just giving his credentials, and I'm just like jaw dropping, like, dude, this is exactly the person I needed.
Yeah.
I could not
believe that click moment.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is insane. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, so I'm learning from him. I'm like acing everything, you know, in the class for the most part. Like, there's times where he allows us to show our music. So I'm showing my music, things I'm working on. And you know, it becomes very clear very quickly, like, who actually cares about, you know, music and who doesn't in those moments, right? Yeah. And I would say there's only, besides me, maybe 2 other people that were really showing up with like full songs that had a lot of detail and, you know, texture, and people would be like, wow, this is amazing. You know what I mean?
Like, they play their song and their song here comes on, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of.
And I remember one time I played the Sage remix that never came out but should have, because it was fire. And, and this kid's like, he was always hitting me up, talking to me about music and shit, and I was like, I don't know if I'm that good, blah blah. And he goes, dude, did you hear that song you played in class? And that's when I started getting a picture for, like, you know, and it's cool to be in that position too. Like, it's cool to go to school, do what you want to do, get that kind of respect for what you're doing. Yeah. And then also like have teachers that are like invested in you if they want to be. And that's for Chris. You know, what was crazy about him was he was also an audio engineer, right? Obviously, because he's teaching that class. And you know, I would just hit him up. Like, I think it was over the summer, right after, because, you know, I think my first semester was actually in the spring. Then summer hit, and, you know, I'm emailing him, sending him stuff I'm working on, and I'm like, yo, like, can I get a discount on mastering or something? I was like broke. I was like, because his mastering was like $70 a song. I was like, hey, can I get a discount? He's like, I don't really have discounts, but, you know, we definitely work. I was like, all right, bet. So, you know, I paid him. But, you know, I kept hitting him up, like, oh, like, I have a couple songs from some friends that could you master these? And he's like, okay, bet. Like, and then eventually I sent him my song. It was like the Marin Mills remix that I did. And he was just like, yo, do you want to be like my intern basically? And I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm down. Like,
yes,
sounds great.
Yeah.
Now,
stop paying him.
Right. So basically how we did it was we were trading time, right? So time I gave him was time he'd give me and invest in my stuff, right? Which was like ultimately perfect, but and so, you know, as soon as I started seeing that man work, it just blew my mind, because the way he would, like, first of all, he would use all stock plugins. So what that means is like he would only use what was immediately available in the DAW that he was using in Ableton, right? His basic stock plugins. Whenever I'd show him other ones, he'd be like, he would always go back and he wouldn't even be impressed or anything. He'd just be like, well, let's just stick with what's in Ableton. And there's a lesson in that, and the lesson is sticking with what you know can yield better results than trying to adapt to something new in the moment for a project. You know what I mean? Like, you don't learn when you're on a deadline or something like that. You know, like that's not necessarily the best time to like take on new software. You know, you just use what you have available to you. But
definitely.
So that was a good lesson. But then seeing the way he used them, like he would just like, it was like everything was instinctive. Like, you know, a move on the EQ, like going from like 0 dB to 20 dB. So it's just like pushing it up. And I was like, whoa, like slow down. Like, because me, like when you first started, I'm trying to hear every dB change from 1, 2, 3, 4. I was trying to hear what each one sounded like so I could figure out, okay, which number is the best number. But he's just yanking it and just kind of like adjusting it super quick until it hits his ear the right way. And you know, and then I saw him master my song, and he's got like 3 different forms of compression on there, and I'm like, what are they even doing? And why is it making it sound so much better? You know, and to this day I still don't know. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what he was listening to when he made that chain, you know, on my master. But I've been meaning to hit him up and be like, yo, dude, like I need one more session with you where like we just sit down and talk about compression, because I feel like I haven't mastered it yet. You know? Yeah,
you should.
Like I totally understand it, but at the same time, I want to know why he did it the way he did on that song. You know, like
that'll help you paint the picture for later. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. And at the same time, I do want another internship with someone else that like does like a different genre. You know, because you know, since then I'm doing less electronic. I feel like, but no. So that obviously he like changed the scope of everything for me, because it gave me a whole different level of confidence. It gave me someone I could go to about any project at any time to get advice on. You know, like I remember this girl, Cassie Marin, approached me through a mutual friend, and she was like, and she needed an engineer. And I remember like, it was so formal. Like we went out to dinner to like meet, you know, she had a boyfriend with her, I had our mutual friend with me. And, you know, we're just feeling each other out, you know, just talking about music, like everything. Dope. Yeah, it really was. And so, and then by the end of that, she's like, yeah, I'll definitely send you songs, you know, I'll pull up. And, you know, so then I started recording her out of my apartment. I had a great setup for recording at that apartment at the time. You know, I had set it up to where, you know, I'm mixing upstairs because it was like a 2-floor loft. I was mixing upstairs, and then wires going downstairs to a booth that I made, and, you know, they were recording downstairs, but then there's also a couch, so they can sit down, they can have something on the TV, you know, whatever. Like the boyfriend would be there just reading the book while she's like singing in the booth. I'm upstairs hitting a button that allows her to hear my voice in her headphones, you know, and I can already hear it through the microphone because I got my headphones on too. It was a perfect system.
You were really doing your thing in there. I remember when I came and showed up, or like came and visited, and I was like, bro, like, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Like, that's super clean and efficient and effective, because, you know, that's your space already. Right. So like, oh, like, honestly, I'm tired. You can lock the door on your way out. I'm going to sleep. And you just like go lay down, you know?
Literally.
That's turning around. That's super dope.
It was crazy. It's crazy. And I'd love to get back to that one day when the time is right, but I'm kind of just like shifting focus a little bit, you know, doing different things. Yeah. But that was a very important time in my life, because I was learning how to not only mix for Cassie, you know, which was like a panic attack, because it's like, okay, she's got plays and seemingly a following, and like I cannot disappoint. So that's when I had Chris, you know, at the back door for me, like saving that project basically, because, you know, he stepped in and he basically showed me how to do a vocal, right, and gave me these powerful tips. And so from there, like, you know, there's a couple songs on the EP that I did all by myself, you know, and then other ones I had his help on, obviously.
Right.
But that was, you know, from there, just, you know, changed the whole scope.
That's dope though. That's like the whole mentorship process. Like, help me guide me so I can be better on myself, like by myself on my own right after.
Of course, and of course, you know, it's an internship, so and every internship is gonna have different things that you don't want to do, right? So, you know, like there's, you know, some of the things I was doing for him were just so like monotonous and just like, you know, because he's really showing me what it took to market, right? And so he's like out there like scouring through the internet for emails, making email contact lists in Excel, and like asking me, okay, I need 200 new emails, like find those for me, and this is how I want you to find them, and then send those to me. And I'm like, all right, bet. It would take hours, you know. I remember one time he had me make a Wikipedia page for him just for it to be fucking denied by this asshole Wikipedia, you know, moderator who like, she basically flagged the page too early and I wasn't done with it yet, and decided that like, oh, we think, she actually called it perfectly. She actually like called us out perfectly. She was like, I think this Wikipedia page is being made for personal marketing use. And that's not what Wikipedia is for, right?
Yeah.
So she called us out, and you know, I mean, but everybody uses Wikipedia for marketing at the end of the day.
Everybody wants it because I mean, yeah, it's valuable.
But in the moderator's perspective, they want it to be like a true library of important people, right?
Right.
So that ended up failing, but it was cool to make that Wikipedia page too. And honestly, there came a time where towards the end where he wanted me to get another boatload of emails, and I was like, honestly, I think this is like my time to leave, because you know, I feel like I've got what I needed for now, and I just don't want to do this anymore. And I didn't tell him. I'm not gonna lie. Dude. Yeah.
Do you want more email?
Yeah. And I didn't tell him that directly. It was actually like really hard to leave.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valuable relationship.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't want to disappoint or anything. You know, I was still young, so I didn't really know how to leave the right way. You know, but we're still cool now to this day.
That's dope.
Supportive of each other. Which is
Did
great.
he have a stage name?
Yeah, he went by Left Right, and he was a breaks DJ, and he's like, it's just crazy because his manager Xander is like, he was always hailed as being this guy that was like super connected in Dallas, right? You know,
right.
And Bombcat, you know, Izzy DePlaza, he was the guy that like, he actually reached out to me. This is a whole story in itself, but like I put it like, I entered a mixed contest for Life in Color at one point, and Izzy was like the #1 spot. I was like in like 28th. But for some reason, Izzy was like, I'm gonna hit this guy up. So he hits me up, tells me to pull up to this club called Red Light in Dallas. I'm like, bet. I mean, Izzy, I mean, Xander, and you know, Izzy's hyping up Xander, saying like he's like the overlord of Dallas. Like he has all these connects. He kind of, I mean, Xander runs Lights All Night, and if anybody knows what Lights All Night is, that's like the biggest festival in Dallas for EDM.
Yeah.
Millions and millions and millions of dollars are spent on the artists, on getting artists on that lineup. Jeez. And I don't know how he does it all, but he does it. And also he manages Left Right, Chris Lund, and so they're definitely a team. And you know, they have like a label that they put together. You know, and he also sets up Chris's shows all around the world. So he has Chris flying to like Europe and you know, wherever Chris can get a show, he's doing world tours. You know, even
right.
They're small world tours, but it's still like, wow, like you are making at least $1,000 a show, flying around, you know, also dropping your music, and it's pretty receptive, but it's also in such a niche genre. That's where it really becomes impressive, because breaks is not a popular genre by any means. And so a lot of my perspectively, I would see him just struggle with like, oh, why is it so tough sometimes to make these songs like hit, like, and land, you know what I mean? And it's like, in my eyes, I want to tell him like, well, it's breaks, like it's niche, but at the same time, it's like he's seeing people pop like in incredible ways with breaks. That's why he's so inspired. His idols did it.
Right.
So he wants to do it too, and but that was also inspiring, because it's like, you know, I'm seeing not only like the best sides of being an artist, but the hard sides too. You know.
Yeah, the challenges that come with it.
Yeah. So, you know, of course, that was my first audio engineer teacher. The one I had after that was named Mike Medina. Medina was a funny guy. He was like a kid, just like in an old man's body. You know,
that's fun.
Super awkward too. He's one of the most awkward dudes I ever met. However, he's a bass player, right? And Colin, like, it's not like a prestigious audio engineering school, so not every teacher like was primarily audio engineer. Like maybe they just kind of know how to teach that level, right?
Yeah.
So he was more of an instrumentalist, right? He's a bass player, and he was known for working with one of his best friends who was a harp player, and they did something that had never been done before. They created a duo with a bass player and a harp player, and the idea was the bass had the low end, the harp had the treble, the high end. Yeah, and so
hard.
They didn't make it sound hard. They played live for us. I think I even have a recording I'll send you later, but they played beautiful music together, and it's even on iTunes and stuff. But he said the coolest gig he ever got was actually playing for the president once at the time. Yeah, and I think he was making, I guess, like $70,000 a year at least just doing that, just being in that duo. So that's really impressive as an instrumentalist. Like, that's if you grew up, if you were in high school telling your mom, hey, I just want to play bass the rest of my life, like, I don't think your mom's thinking it's ever gonna go that far,
Yeah, of course. To be able to sustain yourself like that.
Yeah.
And meet the president and just be able to play for your life. That's dope.
For real. And he was actually like he was a game changer for me as well. Despite the fact that he wasn't a real engineer, there was a point where I came up to him with one of Sage's first songs that I had ever done for Sage, and I was like, what do you think of this? And I'm like, oh, it's fire. Like he's gonna love it. Like he's gonna think it's so dope. Yeah. And then he goes, 2 mono. I was like, what do you mean 2 mono? He's like, the track is 2 mono. Like, why are the vocals all down the middle? Like, you could layer them, you can make them sound better. Like, spread them out. Like, and he's like, he's very talkative. He's like talking like this, like super.
Why is it all here?
Just expressive, like hands everywhere. Just like, I'm like, bro, like, and I'm just like really, and I walk away heated. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Come back the next day, show it to him. He's like, no more mono. Good. I'm like, okay. That was it.
Yeah.
But it changed things forever because, boy, I made that shit stereo as hell. I did some of the most creative things ever. I was like, because I was breaking rules. I'm like making a guitar pan from left to right, while being like super reverbed out and stuff. And traditionally you don't make things like guitar pan because the idea is you should set up a mix to where, okay, the guitarist, you got to look at it like it's a band on stage, right? So the guitarist is maybe right here, vocalist is right here, drummer could be right here, and like you can set up the sonics like that to where when people close their eyes they can picture this, But I took the guitar and I was like, no, look, I can make it like sound like something new by making it move. Like the guitar doesn't have to be stationary,
Yeah.
So,
dropping gems in here.
Yeah, low key. Yeah. Painting I love painting, man. I love painting.
What do you think is your favorite instrument?
Favorite instrument? So obviously I love drums, but I think one of my go-tos in my music all the time has to be like pads, which are traditionally like a background sound, right? Like it's kind of like pad is like like if you listen to Drake's Take Care album, right? It's like those like really moody synths that kind of sit in the background, and but I like taking those background noises and making them lead sounds, because it just sounds like this like emotional rush that you get from the pads when it's just like all up in your face with drums and with vocals and stuff like that. It's really, I think Drake really popularized that style for sure. I think I was able to take it, make it my own way, but use it my own way. I think a good example of a pad would be Vibrations, that first like rising sound that happens after that initial cowbell, that's a pad.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah. And then what else? Reaching, that's like 3 different pads right there, but they're like really loud. They're not traditionally supposed to be that loud. So, but I just love that feeling of like that wall of sound and having it just seems so emotional,
Yeah.
So
I think one thing that might help people in the future is if you could let them know kind of some different like roles you can play in the music world in general, because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, I can only play an instrument, or I can only like be a manager, or I can only sing. Like, what are some of the other things that people could do to like maybe get their hands wet and like, I don't know,
Yeah, no, this is a great question, because I had a mixed consultation with this guy named Chris He goes by Chris the Homie on Instagram, and he's like brand new, fresh to the game, but he's like rapping, and he expressed interest in wanting to engineer for people. And basically, I told him, I was like, honestly, man, because you're so new, I just want you to stay open-minded to everything right now. You know what I mean? Like, be open-minded to knowing that, like, okay, yes, you want to be a rapper, yes, you produce, or you may want to produce, or you may want to engineer, but like, say your dream is to be a rapper, don't let that stop you from feeling like you can't be an engineer as well. Like, maybe it'll switch one day. Maybe you'll just realize, oh, I really love like helping people make a great sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just being open to all those things, or I mean, and there's so many roles in the music world, right? Like, and an engineer, there's all different types of engineers. So there's recording engineers, people that specialize in microphones. The truly professional ones, they will show up with a couple like suitcases of microphones, you know, and like make sure you got the exact one that's best for your voice, you know.
Right.
And they specialize in recording you, so they're going to be super fast with the DAW. Like, they're going to make sure that when you say go, it's going, you know, is recording, and when you say stop, it's stopping, you know, and like it almost at will while you're just in the booth. And there's your mixing engineers, people that just like take every piece of the music and just make it sound as great as they can together. And of course, like, there's so many genres, right? So there's like people that specialize in like R&B mixing, trap mixing, you know, like poetic kind of style rap mixing, like stuff like Saba, you know.
Right, so you can have your own niche within.
Yeah, you can definitely have your own niche.
Genre, or everything, you know.
100%. Now, if you want to be really successful, like, it's always good to try everything, right? But still, having a niche is like very powerful too as an engineer, you know.
Yeah.
People, I mean, there's the rise of Latin trap right now, and there's you know, very, you know, which is leading to the rise of, you know, Latin trap producers, Latin trap engineers, all that. Like, that's a whole niche of its own, but it's obviously thriving, and you can do just that, you know, probably the rest of your life and make a good amount of money. A great engineer in that realm is Jason Joshua.
Jason Joshua.
Yeah, he's got a lot of videos out there, and he mixes for like Rosalia and I think a couple other folks, but
I don't know. Somebody told me not to trust people with 2 first names, but
it's different Dave. It's different Dave.
I'll just play it.
No, but I mean, as far as roles go, it's just like, you know, there's so many roles in the game. Like, you can look up album credits and see one album had 20 different composers, which could be instrumentalists or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Multiple engineers. There's mastering engineers too, of course. I think Frank Ocean's album is a great example of a collection of, you know, work from all different types of people. You know, like he has Beyonce's vocals on Pink and White and didn't even put her name on it. Like, you know, and that just shows like Beyonce's role was just to be a background. She didn't even care to have her name on there.
Yeah.
You know, she was like, oh, here, I think she probably heard the song and sent it back with those vocals on, and it was like, oh shit.
Immediately. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, so like it could be a role like that. Like, if you're a singer, you could just do that. Sir was actually talking about that recently. I was listening to his Rap Radar again because I had pulled up yesterday, and he was like, sometimes I pop in, I put my vocals on, and I don't even care. Like, you don't have to put my name on or anything. Like, I'm just happy knowing I got to help, that I got to provide, you know, to somebody's creation, right?
Yeah, I think that's super important too.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, because he was even saying, he's like, I want to be great, I want to be the GOAT. Like, I know I'm the man, stuff like that. You know, but he was saying that like he's not going to get there without being able to be great at helping people too. You know,
yeah.
Like that's his main goal.
I feel like that's one of the main goals of music too.
Yeah.
That's what it's made for, to help people in some way.
Yeah. So.
That's dope. That's dope that there's so many roles and positions that people can play with. That's not just like the standard one that you think of.
Yeah, not just like playing guitar, like piano. There's so many different things too, you know.
Yeah, so
but they're all valuable.
Want something? If y'all want to try something, get your feet wet. Might as well.
Just start with getting the program. Start with getting a program. I mean, there's so many different ones. You know, I would suggest, you know, Ableton for production. You know, if you want to be a great engineer, get Studio One, that's even more affordable, you know. And then yeah, like kind of like see what kind of MIDI instruments are out there too, like to push, or you know, the keyboards that have like the drum pads on there too, just experiment.
Yeah.
Sure. There's so many tools out there, and people all use them in their own ways. So everybody is still unique at the end of the day, even though like everything can kind of like tend to look the same, you know, gear wise. So it's just about what people bring to the table.
That's dope. I have another question. So you brought up a lot of names. Who do you think would be dope to work with right now? Like maybe a dream, like who's a dream who you think like, damn man, like, you know, me and Drizzy hopped on something, you know, maybe something nasty, you know, and someone that local that you appreciate their sound, or
yeah. Man, I'm gonna pull my phone too, just so I can kind of like see who I've been listening to recently. But I mean, let me start with like, you know, the ones that are real big. So, you know, I think that Pharrell is like a very incredible artist, and I think I could learn a lot from Pharrell. Do I think he would like my music? I don't know, but he also does have a good ear for soul, at least, you know what I mean? So maybe if you hear that one day, that, you know, he might want to reach out or something like that. I don't know, but you know, but it's Pharrell, so I don't really expect anything. But it's like it's one of those things where I'm realizing like I would love to pop out and be present in the scene before these legends retire, right?
Right.
You know, people like, you know, Stevie Wonder and stuff like that. Like, that'd be beautiful to get Stevie on something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, a chance to work with those dream makers.
Yeah, those dream makers. Pharrell, you know, especially Drake too, of course. Like, I'd be down to help Drake with some shit. You know what I mean? But more than Drake, honestly, would be his engineer. I would love to sit down with 40 and just talk shop with 40 for a while, because that man's like a mad genius, you know. But all credit to Drizzy for sure, because like my first, you know, I listened to Take Care a lot in high school. That shit was like the backbone for my life at the time, you know what I mean?
You ain't the only one.
Yeah, I think we all did. It was just like, it was such a incredibly artistic album too at the time, and I was just fully invested in it. And those were some of the first sounds I was chasing when I first got into music production. So, you know, I would love to. I think it's just that Drake scene is so high level to me, almost even more to Pharrell, that it almost seems unrealistic to me, you know what I mean? So it's like, but you know who else? I mean, I'd love to work with like, you know, people in TDE like SZA. I would love to work with SZA. Isaiah Rashad, so dope. See, Lil Durk goes hard. Larry June, Black was like definitely one of my dream collabs too. I feel like me and Black could make some heat.
That's dope. Yeah.
You know, Jack Harlow.
New whip.
Brand new whip, just opted. Yeah.
I don't know how it goes already, dang. But that song was hot.
Nah, but that whole thing with that man is just insane. Because I remember
that attack was beautiful.
When he just dropped the Gazebo, like, and I was telling people, I was like, y'all, this gives me Take Care energy. Like, I know it's not the same level as Take Care, but it gives me that energy.
Y'all, he's not lying. He hit me up and he was like, yeah, this is it. And I was like,
yeah. I kept showing people and like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I kept listening. I was like, okay. He's not black, right? I'm mad that hella people, like when the last one dropped, they were like, wait, he's not black?
Yeah.
I put myself on the cover every single time, y'all.
They're still questioning it.
It's hella funny.
But that's what's crazy, you know?
Yeah. What about some Dallas folks?
I remember thinking about that, about Post Malone too. I remember Post Malone, I was like, he's not black. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Post.
Dallas folks, man.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I got a couple.
Yeah, of course this isn't the whole list. If y'all don't hear your name, don't be sad.
Yeah, it's not a whole list. Like, there's only like so many different people out there, but
yeah.
you know, I think one of the first artists to really stand out to me and just really blew my mind was Hendrix. That man is just like, that man was just born with a voice that is just so powerful on a beat.
Yeah.
Just rides beats perfectly. Like I saw someone tweet about his music once. They're like, Hendrix makes the type of music where if you're playing that shit with your windows down, you're gonna pull any girl in the area. And it's honestly true. Like that, it's almost like some Larry June shit. Like Larry June, like you probably blast music and get the same result, but Hendo just really has his own energy and flow. And like that shit's just fire, bro. And I think I asked him just for the first time recently because you know I'm not trying to press myself on people, but he like tweeted something about like, oh, it was trying to work or anything. And he was specifically talking about production, but I was like, I'm just gonna slide in a little tweet. And I just replied and was like, just let me know if you're ever shopping engineers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you know he's one of those people that I would just love to make sound great and like love to try to help get to the next level. You know, because I'm already invested in their music. And another someone that approached me that I also thought was as great was Baby Bruja. So Baby Bruja, she came up to me and she was telling me she needed engineering done, and I was just down because her shit is incredible. Like it's very unique and original. You know what I mean? And I remember seeing her vibing at you know, Narco's show. What show was it? Freebase Fest in Denton. It was Narco's first show in Denton, and you know I got to DJ for Bruja, and the crowd was loving it. I was loving it. Like she just has such an energy. Yeah, we're all like, yo, what is this? And so in my opinion, mastering her EP was just an honor because it was just like, you know, it's just great music. I hope she comes back to me again. I think she's taking a little break right now. You know,
that's dope.
But I would love to continue work with her for sure. And who else?
Last one.
Let me think.
Because we gotta move on to your project.
You gotta move on to my project. Damn, honestly, you know what a dream collab would have been too?
What?
Collab wise? Honestly, like Mac Miller.
Yeah.
You know, that I tried so hard to meet him at his last show where he was in Dallas, and it didn't go too well, obviously. But I saw him hop in the whip, and he took off. I was like right at the tour bus, just waiting.
That reminds me of us and Cole.
Yeah, us and Cole too. me making a fool out of myself. I was out there starting a revolution to see Cole.
It was beautiful though, because we saw Boss.
We did.
We saw Elite. We saw. Did we see Ari?
Did she come out?
She might have came out before we got there. I think we saw Jid, Boss, and Elite.
Yeah.
I was like, Elite.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. Boss was so calm too, just vibing.
He was like, "What's good?"
Yeah, he's so casual. Like, just what's up, yo?
I'm like, "Can I get a pic?" He was like, "Yeah."
Oh, you know who else mixed for Boss?
Who?
Ali.
Oh, dang.
He actually mixed that first project that you found by Boss. What was it called?
Too High to Riot.
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah, y'all need to check that out too. But what they really need to check out is what's dropping in 3 days. Folding Stones. Tell the people about it. What would you like to share before any sneak peeks? Can we get a taste? Can we get something?
You want me to play a song?
No, not. We don't need a song. We need a. What's your opinion? What do you think? What do you like? Like anything.
A sneak peek. Okay.
A droplet of information about.
Oh, information. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to give away too much before it comes out. I think the whole thing has been very hush hush, like just because I realized I turned my whole motivation for getting this thing done into a source of like inspiration to get it done. And how I did that was I was like, okay, I'm not really gonna show anybody this until it's finished, and that made it really, you know, it made it really interesting because it'd be like, damn, this sounds so good, and I was like, okay, let me send it to somebody and be like,
yeah.
It was like a contract I made with myself to help me make it be complete. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And once I completed it, it's like, great, now I can show everybody. But even after that, it was like, okay, well, let me just wait until it goes live. And you know, I didn't even send it to my dad. My dad's been asking for it. Sister asked me for it. And I was just like, let me just keep it on hush until that link drops, and then everybody can see, you know?
Yeah.
And so That's been interesting because I've never really worked like that before. It's always been like showing everybody beforehand and then it comes out. But I just needed a different level of like commitment to be able to do 5 songs. So I've never done more than one at a time.
Yeah.
So the 5 songs, yeah. So that's one piece of information. They are songs that I've listened to by myself for a long time, and I've always wanted to put out. But I just had never felt like people were actually gonna like them. That's still maybe the case. Maybe they still won't. I don't know. We're gonna see. But but they're just like, you know, when I was making these songs, I was actually, some of them I was still very much learning production at the time, and they were also experimental. But they're very like honest. You know what I mean? They're very honest to my interests sonically, and very honest to my interest in like pop culture things too.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, there's some clips from anime, and there's I think there's clips from some of my favorite video games. There's clips from what else? There could, all I can say is, yeah, you know, there's some cool things in there, and hopefully people hear them and they catch them and they're like, oh shit, this is dope. Like I recognize where this is from.
Yeah, that's dope too. That's dope too, because it's like it's a piece of you that you're giving to everybody. And I think it's gonna be really thankful to be able to share that with you, you know, and grateful for that experience.
And one thing too is like these pieces of audio that I kind of mixed in with the music were like really important to me too. They're like moments in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so cool. Like with this movie, or like maybe this scene in the movie was like hit me so powerfully, and I was like, okay, it just inspired me to make a whole song out of it, you know. Or that like, or you know, I'll drop another piece of information, but like there's a song where I take what this girl says in a video game trailer, because this game was about to come out, it was just announced, and I was so inspired by the trailer and the game that I had to mess with that vocal, you know, and like turn it into something.
I need it.
Yeah, I hope, man. Yeah, I hope so. That's
dope. That's dope, man. Well, with that, is there anything else that you would like to tell the people before you go?
Anything else I want to tell the people? Honestly, man, just enjoy. If you're on the same journey, enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy being yourself. You're gonna take some L's along the way for sure, but they're all lessons. You know, I can't say I've made it yet. Obviously, I haven't, but I would like to. And I think the key is just not to stop, right? So
we'll never stop. Shout out
stop.
22521 Folding Stones. Y'all go check that out. Thank you, Zay La Vie, for stopping through.
Thank you, Kenny Jones. Appreciate you for having me.
Of course.
Shout out to community and everybody that's been involved this far.
Hey. Till next time.
Till next time.